Welcome back to Adventures of the Black Belt Sommelier. That's a, picture of Swartland, South Africa behind me. Sure does look like a beautiful place. Anyway, one of the things I love most about having this podcast is sharing really, really excellent, really, really affordable wines for you to enjoy. And I have one today that's just, it might be the best value wine I've ever encountered. Um, One of my strategies that I've suggested for purchasing uh, excellent value wine is to buy the entry level wine from a really great winery. This is an ultimate example of that. This is made by a Spanish winery called Juan. That you see their wines around quite a bit. They have the blue label red and the silver label red. They're those two wines are really, really excellent wines. They're just and they are great values. But this is a wine that they make called Shania Monastrel. It's 3 liter bag in the box. So it's the equivalent of 4 bottles, and it sells for $16. So it's $4 a bottle equivalent. I brought some home last night to use to braise some beef short ribs. And then so I thought, my theory is never cook with wine you wouldn't drink. So I tasted it to make sure that you want the wine to enhance the quality of your food, not detract from it. So I tasted it to make sure that it would do that. And then I just couldn't believe how delicious it is. It's Monastrell, which is the Spanish word for what the French call Mourvedre, and in California and Australia is also called Mataro. It's one of the main grapes in the Rhone Valley. It's and in Bandol in Provence. Um, it's always well. This is kind of a classic example of Monastrell. It's very rich. It's very decadent. It's very sexy. It has beautiful mouthfeel. It's dry. It's full bodied, as Monastrell always is. It has this kind of really decadent character. It doesn't have the barnyard character that a lot of times Monastrell does. It's more kind of pure than that. Um, it's it's it does. Let me just say, it does not taste like a $4 bottle of wine. Not that I think I haven't tasted a $4 bottle of wine in a long time, but it's not what I would expect a $4 wine to taste like. It's just it's just beautiful. It's rich and polished and decadent and hedonistic and opulent and all those. You just pull all those words out of your dictionary. It's all of them. Um, I used it to braise the short ribs last night, and then I intended to drink something much more expensive, but I ended up just drinking this because I thought it was the best thing to drink, and on a Saturday night with some braised beef short ribs. Um, I just gosh, I can't recommend it highly. By the way, the beef short ribs, very, very simple recipe. Take a Dutch oven, put some olive oil in it, get the olive oil hot, season your short ribs all over with salt and pepper, brown them in the oil. After the oil's hot, put them in the pan, turn them all over, get them dark brown on all sides, all 6 sides, not 4 sides. And once you've done that, remove them, put them on a plate, slice an onion, add it to the pan, caramelize the onions. When the onions are translucent, a little bit beyond translucent maybe, add the short ribs back to the pan. Oh, I forgot to say, put some garlic in there with the onions. Not a lot of garlic. And be sure, this is important. Don't ever put garlic by itself in a pan, in a hot pan, because it will burn the garlic. And it's garlic is not a good thing. It's not a good addition to your food when it's burned. Always add the garlic with something else so it doesn't burn and give that off aroma that it has when you do that. So add the garlic and the onions at the same time. Um, when the onions are wilted, add the short ribs back to the pan. Um, Fill the pan half beef stock, good quality beef stock, preferably beef stock you've made, and half quality or half quantity Shania Monastrel. So you're going to fill equal parts beef stock and Shania Monastrel. Add to the pan until it comes up about halfway up the sides of the short ribs. Reduce, bring it to a boil. Reduce it to just a simmer. Put the lid on it, tight fitting lid, and just let it simmer for 2.5 hours. After it's simmered for 2.5 hours, remove the short ribs. Add a mixture of of uh, of flour and butter, equal parts flour and butter. Last night, for instance, I did 3 short ribs. I added 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of flour. Mix together. Add that to the sauce. Bring that to a boil, and it will reduce pretty quickly and become really thick and rich. Once it has, add the short ribs back to the pan, to the Dutch oven to the sauce. Kind of turn them to coat them all in the sauce all over, and bring that back up to temperature. I served it with Tex-Mati rice, but it would be great with mashed potatoes or polenta or risotto or anything like that. Anyway, the wine, the dish, match made in heaven, as I often say, and it's the equivalent of a $4 bottle of absolutely delicious red wine. I am so excited to have found this one. Anytime I need red wine to cook with, this is what I'm going to bring home because, man, oh man, is it great. And then I can drink it with the dish too because it's so good. So that's a good illustration of my theory to buy the entry-level wine. Well, it's kind of the ultimate illustration of my theory to buy the entry-level wine from a respected winery like Juan, because this wine it's absolutely wonderful, and it costs $16 for 3 liters. Thanks for tuning in to Adventures of a Black Belt Sommelier. I appreciate your time and attention so much. You can't imagine. See you soon. By the way, we have some exciting guests coming up in the next week. Some pretty famous people going to join us in the next week for conversations on this podcast.